Bloomberg rightly asks, why are the Chinese trying to collect the entire planet's gold? Analysts speculate that the country keeps several thousand tons of gold off the books, quote unquote, in a separate entity, the State Administration of Foreign Exchange. China continues undeterred to build up its gold reserves for the 7th month in a row. According to data from the People's Bank of China, the country's gold reserves rose by about 16 tons in May, bringing the total stockpile to about 2,092 tons, after adding 144 tons from November to last month. However, China is not the only one. In the wake of escalating geopolitical uncertainty and persistent global inflation, central banks worldwide set a record for gold purchases in 2022. Although this trend registered a significant decline in the first quarter of 2023, data from the World Gold Council, WGC, shows market analysts expect markets to move higher again. Specifically, demand, excluding OTC over-the-counter, fell by 13% in the first quarter compared to the same period last year. However, over the same period, central banks added 228 tons to global stockpiles, the highest rate of purchases seen in the first quarter since the data series began in 2000, although at a slower pace than in recent quarters. A recent Gold Council survey revealed that about a quarter of the world's central banks plan to boost their holdings next year. This comes amid growing skepticism about the future role of the US dollar, after Washington armed the dollar in its sanctions against Moscow. The chief executive of the London Bullion Market Association, Ruth Crowell, in an interview with Bloomberg TV, predicted that this strong demand from central banks is set to continue throughout the year. After all, collective central bank purchases accounted for nearly a quarter of global gold demand last year. This continued supply is expected to support gold prices, which hit an all-time high in May. In the first quarter of the year, only Singapore surpassed China in terms of gold purchases. Indeed, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, was the single largest buyer during the first quarter, adding 69 tons of gold to its holdings, which are now 45% higher than at the end of 2022. The People's Bank of China added 58 tons during the first quarter, 2,092 total today, while Turkey was again a bigger buyer, increasing its stockpiles by 30 tons. It now officially owns 565 tons of gold. Also, India's central bank added 7 tons. Chinese consumers bought 198 tons of gold jewelry during the quarter, 41% of the global total, with demand picking up again after zero COVID measures were lifted, although high and volatile prices dampened demand in India, which posted its weakest first quarter in 3 years. Overall, jewelry remained relatively flat in the first quarter, with China offsetting the decline in India. China's intensive gold buying, which began in November, is the first after a 10-month run that ended in September 2019. The previous significant inflow ended in late 2016, although many dispute the official figure, suggesting that China gold reserves are significantly larger. However, there are estimates that China holds much more gold than it officially discloses. As Jim Rickards pointed out in Mises Daily in 2015, many analysts speculate that China holds several thousand tons of gold off the books in a separate entity called the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, SAFE for short. After all, many analysts believe that China is the mystery buyer stockpiling gold to minimize exposure to the US dollar. Meanwhile, the People's Bank of China reported a decline in the country's foreign exchange reserves at the end of May, which fell from $3.2 trillion to $3.18 trillion compared to the previous month. And this I've translated from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.